Noom has been deemed Weight Watchers for millennials, and they say it's the last weight loss plan you'll need. Some people even call it anti-diet. Now, is Noom really all it's cracked up to be, and should you be using it? So today I'm going to be giving you the rundown on what Noom is, how it works, and my thoughts on if you should download the app and get yourself a Noom coach. So if you guys follow me, you know I'm going to spit all the facts at you as well as my opinion as a registered dietitian. If you're new here, welcome, and be sure to hit subscribe right down there. So I personally did all of the steps of Noom. I took the questionnaire, I downloaded the app, and I was in the trenches, if you will, with Noom. And I'm gonna share with you a plot twist that happened at the end. I was not expecting this, so be sure to stick around for that. Okay, so what is Noom? Noom, like I said, has been deemed Weight Watchers for millennials. It's an app that is supposed to help you lose weight. So if you guys have any experience with Noom or you have thoughts on it, be sure to comment below and let me know. Okay, so I have their website pulled up here. I'm gonna have my phone throughout this so I can actually share screenshots with you guys so you can see inside the app. Okay, so Noom says that they are going to make the world a healthier place, and their mission is to help people everywhere lead healthier lives through behavior change. Sounds pretty good, right? Okay, so now how Noom works. So you start off by taking a questionnaire that talks about your weight goals, where you want to be, and how fast you want to get there, as well as some other history just about yourself and kind of about your background and your health. So once you do that, then you go ahead and download the app. So you'll get this 14-day trial for free at this time. That's what they're offering. And then after that, I think it's like between $45 and $50 a month to continue with Noom. And they want you to do it for like 16 weeks, so like 4 months. So once you download the app and open it up after you've taken the questionnaire, it's going to give you your calorie budget for the day. It's also going to give you different steps to take each day and different little activities to do. You're also going to get a Noom coach that you can message back and forth. You can see here there are tabs. They have the weight graph, different recipes, a library where you can save different articles or different little modules that they have in here. And then you can change your settings as well. And I do think that you get a group coaching option if you go into the paid option, but I'm in the free version, so I don't have access to the group. So you can see here they have your day-to-day guide, so you can scroll through it here, and they give you different things to do each day. So they have different little articles and different little quizzes and learning activities for you to do each day. They do recommend that you weigh yourself every single day and track all of your food in the app. And it does also sync in your movement and your steps throughout the day. So that is taken into account too. So let's talk about the tracking piece for a second, because it's not like MyFitnessPal where you're counting calories necessarily. Noom uses a stoplight system. So they divide food into green, yellow, and red. And that is based on caloric density. Now, caloric density is calories divided by the weight of the food. So it's kind of a version of volumetrics, if you've ever heard of that, really trying to increase the volume of food you're eating for less calories. So for instance, one example would be raisins are not the same as fresh grapes, even if they're 100 or so calories of each. Let's just say, for example, they would say grapes are going to be the better choice because they're more voluminous for the amount of calories that you're going to get. That's what I mean by calorie density. Okay, so then they break down this red, yellow, and green system, and they want you to have 30% green foods, 45% yellow foods, and 25% red foods. Okay, so here are some examples of green foods. We have veggies, fruits, starchy vegetables like parsnips, beets, whole grains, and whole grain products. Let's go to the yellow foods. So yellow foods are going to be those more caloric dense foods, kind of in that medium range. They have eggs. Egg whites are considered a green food. The whole egg is considered yellow. Some plant-based proteins like tempeh, some seafoods like salmon, lean meats like grilled chicken, turkey sausage, lean ground beef, quinoa's in there. The low-fat dairy products are going to be in there. Dairy alternatives are in there. And then random things like olives, hummus, plantains, fruit smoothies, and most protein powders. So then the red foods, let's go here and read some of those. So these again are going to be the most caloric dense foods. They have oils, olive, flaxseed, avocado, coconut. They have nuts, seeds, nut butters, dried fruit, full-fat dairy, and then snacks in here. This is where they categorize the snacks. So they have unsalted rice cakes, whole grain crackers, pretzels, popcorn, etc. They do also encourage filling up on fibers, one of their tips that they have here. Choosing your nutrients wisely. Protein is going to be more satisfying for you. So they do have some also other tidbits of nutrition information that you'll get. They really do try to preach flexibility and moderation, saying that, if you go over on some of the red foods, that's okay, or if you exceed your calorie budget that they call it, that's okay. Noom does also put a really big emphasis on psychology and behavior change. So they really try to not be one of those diets that just tells you what to do. They do try to teach you. They put a big emphasis on understanding your why. So rather than just telling you what to do, why do you want to do this? They use a lot of that behavioral techniques in there, and that's something that they really try to use to set themselves apart. They really try to use internal motivation to help motivate you. They also do have a recipes tab on the app. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of them look pretty good. They do tell you if it fits in with your budget that you have and how much of the recipe is made from those green foods. And like I said, the app does take your activity into consideration. They do link it to your phone. I don't have a Fitbit or anything, so it just linked right to my phone and did it that way. You can also join groups. I did not have access to that. I believe it was because I was in the free version, but you do have access to those, and you have access to a coach, which I will again share a little bit of a plot twist with you at the end, and it involves my coach. So I did have access to that and messaging someone in between. So that's just kind of a general overview of how Noom works. Now I'm sure there's a million other bells and whistles that they have, but that's what you get when you download the free trial version of Noom when you are thinking about if this is right for you, and that's kind of the general nuts and bolts of it. Okay, so now I'm going to give you my review and my opinion on Noom and my experience with it. So Noom was really easy to use. I mean, as you can see here, the app is super easy. It just guides you through every single day, different things to do. And that little check mark at the top goes solid once you've completed everything. And it really does just kind of guide you through. It's just click buttons and it'll take you through it, take you through quizzes, bring you to different journal articles. It is super easy to use. I really love that they focus on flexibility. That is definitely a pro for Noom. They're not telling you you have to do this every single day. They understand that life happens. You're gonna go to a birthday party and you might exceed those red amounts of foods that they allow you, and that's okay. They tell you not to feel guilty or anything like that. They understand that. So I do like that. I do also like that Noom focuses on behavior change and they use psychology, because I think that is such a huge thing when you are trying to change any habits and try just to eat in a way that makes you feel better and to feel better in your body. I think that's really important, rather than just following a set of rules that you think you should be doing, but not really understanding why you're doing it in the first place. Okay, so those are the things that I liked about Noom. Some of the things that I put in the cons list that I don't agree with. The first one is tracking food. So I don't like tracking food from my own personal experience, but also some of the things that you guys shared with me when I asked about this on my Instagram stories. So many of you told me that this tracking and just thinking about food in this way gave you an unhealthy relationship with food. And I definitely don't think that's healthy. Now, they do encourage moderation and flexibility, but I think anytime that you are labeling foods that way, it's going to have that negative connotation. And especially with the calorie budget that they give you, I'll get into, mine was way, way, way too low that they gave me, and that's a whole other topic we'll get to. But the way they have it set up, you can see here, I'll show you guys, it has this good area where if you go over it, I tested it a little bit and I didn't see it give me any red flags or say bad at all. But I think there is that if something's good, if you go over it, obviously you're being bad. I do think there's that little bit of connotation in there that can develop a little bit of an unhealthy relationship that you guys have also experienced, and that I experienced when I used MyFitnessPal and was in the worst place with my disordered eating. I get how they're trying to teach you how different foods make you feel and how different foods are satisfying, but I do think that there's a better way to do that versus categorizing these foods into red, yellow, and green. I think caloric density is important to know. I'm not gonna disagree with that, because think about it. If you're super hungry, but maybe you only have a quick minute, you're going to want to choose foods that are more calorie dense because you need to get that quick nourishment. Or if you're not super hungry and you just kind of want something to snack on, you just need a little something, then maybe you choose something that's a little bit lighter. But I think focusing on how the different foods make you feel and understanding it from that point of view is going to be more beneficial long term without having to have that negative connotation with the foods. So I definitely would recommend using the hunger scale. I won't get into how to use that here because I have a whole video on it. I'll link to it right there. I think that's a really great tool to understand how that caloric density actually makes you feel. And also mindful eating. You guys know I'm all about mindful eating. I have a blog post on it, which I'll link to in the description, but let me know if you guys want a video on different mindful eating techniques and how you can start to incorporate that. Let me know in the comments and I'm happy to make one of those. Also, a food and mood journal can be super helpful. So I did recently talk about this in my video on food intolerances. I'll link to that up there for you guys. But the food and mood journal is really just tracking, okay, these are the things that I ate and these are the things, how they made me feel mentally, physically, all of that. And that is going to be a really great way to understand your personal body. Instead of labeling them as red, yellow, green, or saying this is my budget, how did I feel when I ate all really, really calorie dense foods in one day? Did that make me feel good versus a different day? Allowing yourself to make those own connections, that is going to be, in my opinion, the best way to go about this and have strong results that allows you to get to a place where you feel comfortable in your body, mentally and physically. My opinion. I really also don't like that they have you weigh yourself every day. I have a really bad history with weighing myself, and I'll link to a video where I talk about all my history with disordered eating, but I was weighing myself multiple times per day, and I know that's a really common thing for other people, or even just weighing yourself daily. And they do address that the number on the scale does fluctuate multiple pounds per day, and not to get yourself stressed about that. I do kind of think that you can't unsee that number on the scale. So if it's higher than you want it to be, it's going to impact your mood throughout the day. You might be a little bit bummed. And if it's below, then that might signal to you, oh, now I can have all of this red food, so I'm going to eat more of it. And it can just kind of be this vicious cycle that you get yourself into, and it can really become obsessive. Now, I know that's not the case for everyone. Not everyone becomes obsessive about it, but personally, having been there, I would never wish that on anyone. So just be very, very careful of that. And like we kind of talked about food, I think the best way to feel good about your weight and get to a place where you feel good, I do think you deserve that, to feel good about your body. I think that the best way to do that is to focus on how you feel versus the number on the scale. Because we honestly can't just say, I want to be X weight and I'm going to feel fabulous there. We don't know that. And if you want to learn more about the set point weight theory, then I highly, highly recommend the book Health at Every Size. This is what it looks like. I'll also link to it in the description so that you can take a peek at it on Amazon. But it's a really, really great book, and it kind of really explains that set point weight theory that is super popular right now. But basically it says we can't just decide what we want our weight to be, and I totally agree with that. And there can be negative impacts of trying to do that. So highly recommend that. So I also just don't agree with the overall focus on weight loss and calorie restriction. Now, I'm not against weight loss at all. It's a natural thing that happens. You can check out my other video on what if you want intuitive eating and weight loss, and I kind of explain my views on it there a little bit more. Now, if there's one thing we know, it's that diets and intentional calorie restriction does not work long time for the majority of people. It's actually going to rebound most of the time, and especially if you are having excessive calorie restriction. Now, Noom put me on 1,200 calories a day, and I know that is a pretty big restriction for me. I eat way more than that, I can tell you that. And actually, that's way lower than a lot of adults need. Now, I'm not going to deny that if you eat 1,200 calories a day, you are probably going to lose weight. But you are probably not going to lose weight in the long run. When we intentionally restrict calories way too low, our body is going to see that as something's wrong. I'm not getting enough energy. And like I said, you're going to lose weight, but your metabolism is going to change, and your body is going to see that as a period of, okay, there's not enough food, I'm being starved, I've got to protect myself. So the reason why a lot of diets don't work, and they again explain this all in Health at Every Size, highly recommend looking into that, but your body's going to see that restriction and be like, I gotta prevent this from happening again, so I need to pack on a little bit more. And that is how our set point weight increases over time, and actually why people come out of diets actually gaining weight and then some, because their body's trying to protect themselves. And one really important thing that is kind of hard to hear is that when our set point weight increases, it is really, really hard to decrease those. It is not your lack of willpower. It is your body trying to fight off that restriction that it's so scared that's going to happen again. Another kind of, I don't know that I would say it's a negative, but thing to be aware of is that not all of the Noom coaches are dietitians. Now, there's a difference between a registered dietitian and a nutritionist. Registered dietitians like myself have to go through a lot of schooling, a lot of testing, a lot of hands-on work, continuing education to be the nutrition expert, whereas there is not that criteria for someone to be a nutritionist. Anyone could kind of call themselves that. Now, Noom does have their coaches become certified coaches. So that's a plus, and I definitely think that's a step above what a lot of the other different programs have. A lot of times it's just, oh, you've tried the product, you can become a coach. But Noom does put that into play, so I do like that. But with them just being coaches and not registered dietitians, they're not acting as a registered dietitian, so they have this scope of practice that they have to stick to, and they can't give you all of the ins and outs or the advice that a registered dietitian would. So that's just definitely something to be aware of. You can't compare apples to oranges saying I'm working with a dietitian or I'm seeing a dietitian to I have a Noom coach. They're not the same. And honestly, the word coach makes me want to vomit. Like, I feel like it's thrown everywhere, and what does it even really mean? Oh well. Now, my overall conclusion here before we get to my little plot twist is I do think Noom is a step in the right direction. I'm not going to lie here. They are making more positive steps to break free from diet culture, but I definitely do not think it is anti-diet, because anytime you are putting rules or restrictions, that is following a diet. And I really honestly just cannot get on board with tracking your food, weighing yourself every day, sticking to a calorie budget. I just can't get on board with that. I know how toxic that can become. And like I said, you guys, see all those right there? Yeah, you guys agree with me, and it has been your experience too that it can quickly spiral out of control. Now, again, I know that's not going to happen for everyone, that they're going to become this obsessive about it, but I just wouldn't put yourself in that situation. Now, again, I'm not going to lie that Noom is probably going to get you weight loss results, but I don't think it's sustainable. I don't believe in focusing on the numbers. I believe in focusing on how you feel. And again, I don't think weight loss is bad by any means. I don't think weight gain is bad by any means either. It all depends on how you're feeling in your body. And I think that is the best way to lose weight if your body needs it, to be kind to yourself, focus on how you feel, not focus on this arbitrary number that we are making up in our head, because a lot of times that's what it is, or a chart, which that chart doesn't know your life. So you have to focus on the way that you're feeling in your body. So I did find one statistic that 60% of Noom participants lost weight and kept it off for a year. Now, that's almost like 50-50. And I would be really curious to find out what happened to the other 40%. If they noticed that they lost the weight, then they gained it back and then some, or if they just gained it back. I'd be really interested to hear that, but I didn't see it. And I will say, I totally get that a lot of people might not agree with my no food rules approach to nutrition, and that's okay. You firmly have the utmost right to decide what you do with your body, with what you put into your body, with how you nourish it. This is simply my opinion as a registered dietitian based on my experience and the things that you guys are telling me you are feeling from Noom. This is just my experience, this is my opinion, and you have the right to do what you want to do. Okay, so now let's get to the plot twist. I tested my Noom coach a little bit throughout my trial, and I intentionally set my weight at one point to be way below what I knew would be a healthy weight. Not way below, but something that would not be healthy for me that I know. So when I put that into the Noom app, it did give me a signal that I was, let me pull it up here for you. Okay, so the Noom app is telling me with the weight that I put was my goal, is that it says, warning, target weight may be unhealthy. Now I have to go into the settings part of the app to see that, but I will say that's really great. They give you those flags. Now I know BMI is not the end all be all by any means, but it can be a place to kind of give you a couple of flags and look for a little bit more information, which is great. It gave me that red flag. But It did not have any problem with assigning me 1,200 calories a day to help me lose that weight at the, I think it's a kangaroo speed. I chose the fastest. They had no problem assigning me that. And I did ask my coach at one point, I said, what if I can't stick to the 1,200 calories a day? She told me it's okay to go over your budget, but again, there's that good range there, and I just think that there's that negative connotation of going over it. We all want to be good, so we're gonna strive for that, and for this, it would have been way unhealthy. I would say about a week and a half into my trial, I asked my Noom coach if this was actually feasible for me, if this was something that would be good for me. And she looked at the weight, she looked at the BMI, and she told me that basically I had to stop using Noom and she couldn't be my coach anymore because it was outside of her scope of practice. Bravo, Noom. So I honestly really loved this, and I don't mind getting kicked out of Noom because, like I said, I was testing them a little bit. Now, this is really only going to work if you set it for a BMI that is going to be too low, but that doesn't really capture someone who they might be setting their goal weight for a BMI that is considered normal, but it's below their set point weight. So it's really not going to give you any guidance there. We don't know what our goal weight is. Only our bodies know that. And we can't just magically pick a number and say, I want to be this weight, and say that that's the weight that we're going to feel good at. Firmly believe in listening to your body, not numbers or food rules. That is my no food rules approach. It honestly took me by surprise though, because I didn't think that after a week and a half, someone was ever gonna say anything to me. I was like honestly getting a little pissy in my head, but then that happened, so it made it a little better. So that's my review of Noom and if you should get a Noom coach. I don't advise it, but again, everyone has their own choice to do what they want, but my opinion as a registered dietitian and someone who helps women break free from disordered eating, that's my opinion. So if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel down there. You can hit the little bell to be notified. New videos are uploaded every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Let me know in the comments if you liked this and if you want to see more diet reviews, more than happy to do that. Or if you'd rather see more tools on how to implement living with no food rules and really listen to your body. Let me know, I'm here for you. All right guys, I will see you next Sunday, 5 p.m. Be there or be square. Bye. I need a snack. Oh my gosh. See ya.